Hi, friends. We're going to do a virtual field trip to the zoo. A lot of animals that live in the rainforest, we're just not going to be able to see any way other than by going to the zoo because we're not really near the rainforest. And right now, it's actually super hard to even just go to the zoo. So, this virtual field trip is going to take us on a trip to a couple of different zoos. And then we're also going to learn a little bit about the National Zoo, which is located in Washington, D.C. So we're going to start over here. If you click right over here, I have this in presentation mode, so the clicking won't work. But when you're viewing it through Google Classroom, you'll be able to just click on this picture and it'll bring you right to it did work. It'll bring you right to the San Diego Zoo. And I want you to look at this video that is going to give you a short tour of the zoo. Then there's also one. I guess everything's just taking a really long time to load. There's also one for the Australia Zoo. Australia Zoo is going to be super reflective of the rainforest because they have the whole canopy over there, which is really awesome. So if you click over here, you'll go on a short tour of the Australia Zoo. And I want you to notice some things that are the same and different. What are some of the animals that are at the San Diego Zoo, and what are some that are at the Australia Zoo? If you're interested in doing a word search, you can click over here on the tiger's face and it'll bring you to a short word search about tigers, which is fun. Now we're going to read an informational article about giant pandas and where the pandas are. We've talked about how in nonfiction text, headings give hints about what the author wants us to learn. Remember, I also mentioned the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. They have a panda there. Giant panda cub Tai Shan and his parents are the stars of the show. They help draw huge crowds to the zoo. 3 million people are expected to visit this year. The giant panda's new home includes more trees for climbing. Pandas like water, so their area has a waterfall and pools. Fog machines help make the exhibit more like their habitat or natural home in China. Visitors now have closer views of the giant pandas and other animals. You can see, hear, touch, and even smell the zoo's science, says Susan Addies, head of the new design. Giant panda cub Tai Shan relaxes while chewing bamboo at the zoo. I'm noticing in this article, I see a picture, like a photograph, and a caption. We've talked about that before. We also have a heading right up here, which is meant to give us a hint about what the main idea of the article is about. And I would agree. I think the article is all about pandas and where they are and how they live. Another thing that I want to point out is over here in the parentheses. Do you see how these letters, some are lowercase and some are all capitalized and they're in parentheses? That's a tricky, fancy, Nancy word. It's a phonetic pronunciation. And sometimes when there's tricky words that most people who read it aren't going to know how to say, they'll put these in nonfiction text to help us understand how to say the words. So the National Zoo, like I told you, in Washington, D.C., is home to 2,000 animals, along with fishing cats, clouded leopards, sloth bears, and Japanese giant salamanders. The creatures here live on the Asia Trail. Here's a photograph and a caption. Red pandas use their bushy tails to cover their bodies when they're cold. After visiting the San Diego Zoo and their live stream and seeing how their animals live, and then we took a tour to the Australia Zoo and you got to click around there and take a video tour. Tell me what you think. Is this statement true or false? It is. It is important for zoos to create homes that are like the animals' natural habitats. Is that true or false? Just drag, I'm in presentation mode, so it won't work, but drag your circle over to your answer. Thanks for coming on our field trip.